Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This next song is by a dear friend of mine. Most of y'all know him as the author of children's books, but he also used to do cartoons for Playboy magazine. He's a great songwriter in his own right. This one's by Shel Silverstein. Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much to my ma and me. Just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him because he run and hid, but the meanest thing that my daddy ever did was, before he left, he went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought that it was quite a joke, and it got a lot of laughs from lots of folks. Seems I'd have to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red, and some guy'd laugh and I'd bust his head. I'll tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My fists got hard and my wits got keen. I roamed from town to town to hide my shame. But I made me a vow to the moon and the stars that I would search those honky-tonks and bars and kill that man that gave me that awful name. Well, it was Gatlinburg in mid-July, and I just hit town and my throat was dry. Thought I'd stop and have myself a brew at an old saloon on a street of mud. There at a table dealing studs sat that dirty mangy dog that named me Sue. Now I knew that snake was my own sweet dad from a worn out picture that my mother had. I knew that scar on his cheek and his evil eye. He was big and bent and gray and old, and I looked at him and my blood ran cold, and I said, "My name is Sue, how do you do? Now you're gonna die." Yeah, that's what I told him. Well, I hit him hard right between the eyes, and he went down, but to my surprise, he come up with a knife and cut off a piece of my ear. So I busted a chair right across his teeth, and we crashed through the walls and into the street, kicking and a gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. Well, I tell you, I fought tougher men, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. Well, I heard him laugh and then I heard him cuss, and he reached for his gun, but I pulled mine first. He stood there looking at me, and I saw him smile. And he said, "Son, this world is rough, and if a man's gonna make it, well, he's gotta be tough, and I knew I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I give you that name and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and it's that name that helped to make you strong." He said, "Now you just fought one hell of a fight, and I know you hate me and you got the right to kill me now, and I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in your guts and the spit in your eye, 'cause I'm the son of a bitch that named you Sue." Well, what could I do? What could I do? I got all choked up and I threw down my gun. I called him my paw and he called me his son, and I come away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and again, every time I try and every time I win. And if I ever have a son, I think I'm gonna name him Bill or George or any damn thing but Sue. I still hate that name. All right, now how many of you knew that that was written by Shel Silverstein? Yeah, I guess a lot of people don't know that, but now you know. If you didn't know, June and I, we live out in Hendersonville, Tennessee. This is a nice house out there in the woods on Old Hickory Lake, and over the years we've had all sorts of different folks come out there to visit us. On one evening in February of 1969, we had what we call a good old-fashioned guitar pull. We'd have a bunch of our musician friends over, and we'd pass around the guitar and try out new songs for each other. Well, on this particular evening, we had Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, Graham Nash, Chris Christopherson, and Shel Silverstein. For the very first time, Joni sang Both Sides Now, Bob sang Lay Lady Lay, Graham sang Marrakesh Express, and Chris sang Me and Bobby McGee. And Shel, he gave me a new poem, well, new lyrics, and June suggested we take him with us to our next concert appearance, which was to be a live recording at San Quentin Prison. So at one point during the show, I put those lyrics on a stand in front of me, and Carl Perkins and the boys just made it up as they went along behind me. And that is how A Boy Named Sue was recorded for the first and only time live at San Quentin Prison. Here's another one we recorded at a prison. This one we recorded at Folsom. 1, 2, 3. Early one morning while making the rounds, I took a shot of cocaine and I shot my woman down. I went right home and I went to bed. I stuck that loving 44 beneath my head. Got up next morning and I grabbed that gun. Took a shot of cocaine and away I run. Made a good run, but I run too slow. They overtook me down in Juarez, Mexico. Laid in the hot joints, taking the pills. In walked the sheriff from Jericho Hill. He said, Willie Lee, your name is not Jack Brown. You're the dirty hack who shot your woman down. Oh yes, my name is Willie Lee. If you got a warrant, just read it to me. Shot her down because she made me sore. I thought it was her daddy, but she had 5 more. When I was arrested, I was dressed in black. They put me on the train and they took me back. Had no friend for to go my bail. I slapped my dried up carcass in the county jail. Early next morning, about 9:30, I spied the sheriff coming down the line. Up and he coughed as he cleared his throat. He said, come on, you dirty hack, into that district court. Into the courtroom, my trial began, where I was handled by 12 honest men. Just before the jury started out, I saw that little judge commence to look about. In about 5 minutes, in walked the man, holding the verdict in his right hand. The verdict read in the first degree. I hollered, Lordy, Lordy, have mercy on me. The judge, he smiled as he picked up his pen. 99 years in the Folsom pen. 99 years underneath that ground. I can't forget the day I shot that bad bitch down. Come on, you gotta listen unto me. Lay off that whiskey and let that cocaine be. Thank you. This next song is by a fantastic songwriter and an even better friend. Well, I woke up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head that didn't hurt. And the beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one more for dessert. Then I fumbled in my closet through my clothes and found my cleanest dirty shirt. But I washed my face and combed my hair and stumbled down the stairs to meet the day. I'd smoked my mind the night before with cigarettes and songs that I'd been picking. So I lit my first and watched a small kid cussing with a can that he was kicking. Then I walked across the street and caught the Sunday smell of someone frying chicken. Lord, it took me back to something that I lost somewhere, somehow, along the way. On a Sunday morning sidewalk, I'm wishing, Lord, that I was stoned. 'Cause there's something in a Sunday that makes a body feel alone. There ain't nothing short of dying half as lonesome as the sound of that sleeping city sidewalk. And Sunday morning coming down. In the park I saw a daddy with a laughing little girl that he was swinging. And I stopped beside Sunday school and listened to the songs that they were singing. Like bringing in the sheaves, then I headed down the road, and somewhere far away a lonely bell was a-ringing. And it echoed through the canyons like the disappearing dreams of yesterday. On a Sunday morning sidewalk, I'm wishing, Lord, that I was stoned. 'Cause there's something in a Sunday that makes a body feel alone. There ain't nothing short of dying that's half as lonesome as the sound of that sleeping city sidewalk. And Sunday morning coming down. Thank you. That song was written by one of the greatest songwriters that country music has ever known, Mr. Chris Christopherson. I'm going to talk a little about Chris, but before I do that, I'm going to let my band go backstage and have a little break, and I'm going to do a couple of songs for you by my lonesome, if that's all right. But so Chris was he was a Rhodes Scholar. He went to Oxford University. He was a captain and a helicopter pilot in the Army, and when I met him, he was a janitor at Columbia Records. It's true. He was trying desperately to be a songwriter, and there was a rule at Columbia at the time. You couldn't just walk up to an artist and hand them a song or hand them a tape for a song. So Chris devised himself a plan. He hijacked a helicopter, and he flew it out to my house in Hendersonville and landed it on my lawn. Chris stepped out of that helicopter with a beer in one hand and a tape for Sunday morning coming down in the other hand. I premiered that song on the Johnny Cash television show in 1970, and the producers at ABC, they weren't too pleased with some of the lyrics. They didn't want me to say, "Wishing, Lord, that I was stoned." They wanted me to say, "Wishing, Lord, that I was home." It doesn't quite have the same meaning to it. And Chris was a little nervous. He didn't know what I was going to do, and we were taping it live in front of a live studio audience there at the Ryman Auditorium. And so we got to that part of the show. I sang it exactly the way he wrote it. I looked up to where he was sitting on the balcony. I thought he was going to fall out of his chair. So before I was talking about the prison concerts, you know, we went to Folsom in 1968. We went to San Quentin in 1969. And a lot of people think that those are the only concerts we ever did at prisons. In actuality, me and the Tennessee Two started doing prison concerts all the way back in 1957. First one we played was Huntsville State Prison in Texas. First time we ever went to San Quentin, actually, was a New Year's Eve show all the way back in 1958. And while we were there, just so happened there was a relatively famous young man in the front row, a guy by the name of Merle Haggard. And when we were doing that show, we finished up, and as we were leaving, one of the inmates got close to us, and he said something to me, well, that I just couldn't forget. And after we got home, I started thinking about that guy, and I decided to write a song about it. He said, "Would you give my love to Rose?" I found him by the railroad track this morning. I could see that he was nearly dead. I knelt down beside him and I listened just to hear the words that dying fella said. He said they let me out of prison out in Frisco. For 10 long years I paid for what I'd done. I was trying to get back to Louisiana just to see my Rose and get to know my son. Give my love to Rose, please won't you, mister? Take her all my money, tell her buy some pretty clothes. Tell my boy that daddy's so proud of him. But don't forget, give my love to Rose. Tell him I said thanks for waiting for me. Tell my boy to help his mom at home. Tell my Rose to try to find another, 'cause it ain't right that she should live alone. Mister, here's a bag with all my money. It won't last them long the way it goes. God bless you for finding me this morning. And don't forget, give my love to Rose. Give my love to Rose, please won't you, mister? Take her all my money, tell her buy some pretty clothes. Tell my boy that daddy's so proud of him. And don't forget to give my love to You know, I was growing up out in Arkansas, picking cotton in the fields with my family. I started picking cotton about the time I was able to stand upright. But all I could think about all day was coming inside and listening to the radio. My mama saved up one year and bought us one of those big B battery radios out of the Sears and Roebuck catalog. How I loved it. I'd listen to all sorts of things on that. I'd listen to the Grand Ole Opry coming out of that Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, and I'd also listen to those cowboy Western sort of serials that they had on the radio, and I guess I always thought there's something pretty romantic about being a cowboy. So here's a good old-fashioned cowboy song for you. This one's by Merle Travis. Back about 18 and 25, left Tennessee very much alive. I never would have made it through the Arkansas mud if I hadn't been a-riding on the Tennessee stud. Had some trouble with my sweetheart's paw. One of her brothers was a bad outlaw. I wrote a letter to my Uncle Fudd, and I rode away on a Tennessee stud. The Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, oh, there never was a horse like a Tennessee stud. Rode right down into no man's land, across the river called the Rio Grande. Raced my horse with a Spaniard's foal till I got me a skin full of silver and gold. Me and the gambler, we couldn't agree. We got in a fight over Tennessee. We pulled our guns and he fell with a thud, and I rode away on a Tennessee stud. Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, oh, there never was a horse like a Tennessee stud. Rode right back across Arkansas, I whooped her brother and I whooped her pa. I found that girl with the golden hair, and she was riding on a Tennessee mare. Pretty little baby on the cabin floor, little hoss colt laying round the door. I love the girl with the golden hair, and the Tennessee stud loves the Tennessee mare. The Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, oh, there never was a hoss like the Tennessee stud. No, there never was a hoss like the Tennessee stud. There were a number of years there where June and I, we were reading all these books, all these novels, really. Anything having to do with the war in Vietnam. And well, the language that the troops would use in there was, for instance, they'd be talking about going along, and they see one of their buddies get shot and fall, but there was no time to stop and grieve, you know, so they just say, drive on, it don't mean nothing, when it meant everything, you know. So I wrote this song. I got a friend named Whiskey Sam. He was my boonie rat buddy for a year in Nam. He said, I think my country got a little off track. It took them 25 years to welcome me back. Well, it's better than not coming back at all. Many a good man I saw fall. And even now, every time I dream, I hear the men and the monkeys in the jungle scream. Drive on. Don't mean nothing, my children love me, but they don't understand. And I got a woman who knows her man. Drive on. It don't mean nothing, it don't mean nothing. Drive on. I remember one night texting me, rappelled in on a hot LZ. We had our 16s on rock and roll, and we separated them from their souls. I was crazy and I was wild, and I have seen the tiger smile. I spit in a bamboo viper's face, and I'd be dead, but by God's grace, drive on. It don't mean nothing, my children love me, but they don't understand. And I got a woman who knows her man. Drive on. It don't mean nothing, it don't mean nothing. Drive on. It was a slow walk in a sad rain. Nobody tried to be John Wayne. I came home, but texted not. I can't talk about the hit he got. Well, I got a little limp now when I walk, and I got a little tremolo when I talk. But my letter read from Whiskey Sam, you're a walking, talking miracle from Vietnam. Drive on. It don't mean nothing, my children love me, but they don't understand. And I got a woman who knows her man. Drive on. It don't mean nothing, it don't mean nothing. Drive on. I'm gonna do one more by my lonesome, and then bring the band out. We'll finish out the show. All right. There were a number of years there where me and June, I felt like I was in the dark. I was so lost trying to find the light, dealing with my addictions and all that. And I didn't know that I was ever going to see that light again. If you've ever dealt with addiction or mental illness, you know that there's not one person that can save you. It's just not possible. But one person can be the impetus for you to want to get better. And June was that person for me. This is probably the most personal song I ever wrote, and I wrote it for June. With the twilight colors falling and the evening laying shadows, hidden memories come stealing from my mind, and I feel my own heart beating out the simple joy of living, and I wonder how I ever was that kind. But the wild road I was rambling was always out there calling, and you said 100 times I should have died. But you reached down and touched me and lifted me up with you, so I believe it was a road I was meant to ride. I'm like a soldier getting over the war. I'm like a young man getting over his crazy days, like a bandit getting over his lawless ways. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm like a soldier getting over the war. There are nights that I don't remember, and pain that's been forgotten, and a lot of things I choose not to recall. There are faces that come to me in my darkest secret memories, faces that I wish would not come back at all. But in my dreams, parade of lovers from the other times and places, there's not one that matters now, no matter who. I'm just thankful for the journey, that I've survived the battles, and that my spoils victory is you. I'm like a soldier getting over the war. I'm like a young man getting over his crazy days, like a bandit getting over his lawless ways. Every day gets better than the day before. I'm like a soldier getting over the war. Thank you. Well, while my band's getting settled, do we have any veterans out there with us today? Any veterans, anybody who served out there? Everybody give these people a round of applause. This next song is dedicated to all of you. I know there's a lot going on in our country right now. Some people are pleased with the way things are going, some are not. But one of the most important things you can do is support our troops and support our veterans. Our troops are out there fighting to preserve the freedoms that we hold so dear who are at home every single day. They deserve our respect, and so do the veterans and all those who served who already did that. So this next song is for you. This is a song I really only do out here in Arizona, and well, I think it's maybe a bit of a little good advice. I think that those who do not remember their history are doomed to repeat it. Ira Hayes, Ira Hayes, call him drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore. Not the whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. Gather round me, people, there's a story I would tell about a brave young Indian who you should remember well. From the land of the Pima Indian, a proud and noble band who farmed the Phoenix Valley in Arizona land. Down the ditches 1,000 years, the water grew Irish people's crops till the white man stole their water rights and the sparkling water stopped. Now Irish folks were hungry and their land grew crops of weeds. But when war came, Ira volunteered and forgot the white man's greed. Call him drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore. Not the whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. There they battled up Iwo Jima Hill, 250 men. But only 27 lived to come back down again. And when the fight was over and Old Glory raised, among the men who held it high was the Indian Ira Hayes. Call him drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore. Not the whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. Ira Hayes was celebrated, came back from war, and let him raise the flag and lower it, but like you throw a dog a bone. He He died drunk early one morning, alone in the land he fought to save. 2 inches of water in a lonely ditch was a grave for Ira Hayes. Call him drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore. Not the whiskey drinking Indian, nor the Marine that went to war. Yeah, call him drunken Ira Hayes, but his land is just as dry, and his ghost is lying thirsty in the ditch where Ira died. Just yesterday, I went to the Oasis Veterans Memorial out here in Chandler. If you haven't had a chance to go out there and see it. It's a really nice tribute to all those who served, and there's a nice plaque dedicated to Ira Hayes out there. There's also a memorial to Ira Hayes down south, a little bit north of Tucson, right there on the Gila River, the Pima Reservation, and I go there all the time. I hope you take the chance to go down there and pay him your respects. This next song is another very personal one to me. I wrote it because I was being asked all the time why I wear black. Well, I've worn black pretty much ever since I've been in the music business, but I never did answer the reporters when they asked the question. Well, the answer is in the lyrics of this song. Well, you wonder why I always dress in black, why you never see bright colors on my back, and why does my appearance seem to have a somber tone? Well, there's a reason for the things that I have on. I wear the black for the poor and the beaten down, living in the hopeless, hungry side of town. I wear it for the prisoner who has long paid for his crime, but is there because he's a victim of the time. I wear the black for those who've never read or listened to the words that Jesus said about the road to happiness through love and charity. Why, you think he's talking straight to you and me. Well, we're doing mighty fine, I do suppose, in our streak of lightning cars and fancy clothes. But just so we're reminded of the ones who are held back, up front there ought to be a man in black. I wear it for the sick and the lonely old, for the reckless ones whose bad trips left them cold. I wear the black in mourning for the lives that could have been. Each week we lose 100 fine young men. And yes, I wear it for the thousands who have died, believing that the Lord was on their side. And I wear it for another 100,000 who have died, believing that we all were on their side. Well, there's things that never will be right, I know, and things need changing everywhere you go. But till we start to make a move, to make a few things right, you'll never see me wear a suit of white. Oh, I'd love to wear a rainbow every day and tell the world that everything's okay. But I'll try and carry off a little darkness on my back till things are brighter. I'm the man in black. I'd like to do a patriotic thing for you now. You know, with all the trips that June and I take abroad, when we come back, I don't think we've ever loved this country more than when we come back and we're back here. And get to appreciate all the wonderful things about our country. This song is dedicated to all those who fought, all those who served to preserve those freedoms that we have, and for anyone who considers themselves proud to be an American. I walked through a county courthouse square. On a park bench, there was an old man sitting there. I said, "Your old courthouse is kind of run down." He said, "No, it'll do for our little town." I said, "Well, your old flagpole's leaned a little bit. That's a ragged old flag you got hanging on it." He said, "Have a seat." So I sat down. He said, "Is this your first time to our little town?" I said, "I think it is." And he said, "Well, we don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that ragged old flag." You see, we got a hole in that flag there when Washington took it across the Delaware, and it got powder burned the night Francis Scott Key sat watching it writing, "Say, can you see?" She got a big rip down in New Orleans with Peckinham and Jackson tugging at its seams, and she almost fell at the Alamo beside the Texas flag, but she waved on. She got cut with a sword at Chancellorsville. She got cut again at Shiloh Hill. There was Robert E. Lee and Beauregard and Bragg, and the south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from a Bertha gun. She turned blood red in World War II. She hung limp and low a time or two. She was in Korea. She was in Vietnam. She went where she was sent by her Uncle Sam. She waved from our ships upon the briny foam. But now, they've about quit waving her back here at home. In her own good land here, she's been abused. She's been burned, dishonored, denied, and refused, and the government for which she stands is scandalized throughout the land. Now she is getting threadbare, and she is wearing thin, but she is in good shape for the shape that she's in, because she has been through the fire before, and I do believe that she can take a whole lot more. So we raise her up every morning. We bring her down slow every night. We don't let her touch the ground, and we fold her up right. On second thought, I do like to brag, because I am mighty proud of that ragged old flag. Thank you so much, and God bless America. Well, we got one more for you here. We want to thank you so much for being out here with us today. We hope you enjoyed yourselves, and want to make sure you have safe travels away. So thank you so much for being here, and we hope you like this one. That old cowboy went riding out one dark and windy day. He rested as he went along his way, when all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw come plowing through the ragged sky and up a cloudy draw. Their brands were still on fire and their hooves were made of steel. Their horns were black and shiny, and their hot breath he could feel. A bolt of fear went through him as they thundered through the sky, for he saw the riders coming hard, and he heard their mournful cry. Yippee-i-oh, yippee-i-oh. Ghost riders in the sky. gentlemen, one last time, John Knowlton. As the riders loped on by him, he heard one call his name. If you want to save your soul from hell, riding on that range, then cowboy, change your ways today, or with us you will ride, trying to catch that devil's herd across these endless skies. Yippee-yi-oh. Sky, ghost riders in the sky. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it going for this amazing band. You've been wonderful. Thank you. You want one more? All right. Well, just so you know, I'll be out there in the lobby afterwards, hawking, selling some CDs, so come up and say hello. Let us know if you enjoyed the show, and we'll do one more for you. This is a good old-fashioned Hank Snow song. Well, I was toting my pack along a dusty Winnemucca road when along came a semi and a high-end canvas-covered load. If you're going to Winnemucca Mac with me, you can ride. And so I climbed into the cab, and then I settled down inside. He asked me if I'd seen a road with so much dust and sand, and I said, listen, I've traveled every road in this here land. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I breathe that mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, Paloma, Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo, Tocopilla, Barranquilla, and Padilla. I'm a killer. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I breathe that mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana, Washington, Houston, Kingston, Texarkana, Monterey, Faraday, Santa Fe, Tallapoosa, Glen Rock, Black Rock, Little Rock, Oskaloosa, Tennessee, Hennessy, Chicopee, Spirit Lake, Iron Lake, Devil's Lake, Crater Lake, for Pete's sake. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. Breathe that mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Louisville, Nashville, Knoxville, Loma Beach, Shepardville, Jacksonville, Waterville, Costa Rica, Pittsfield, Brinkford, Hickenfield, Shreveport, Hackensack, Cadillac, Fond du Lac, Davenport, Idaho, Jellicoe, Argentina, Diamantina, Pasadena, Catalina, see what I mean? I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I breathe that mountain air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Pittsburgh, Parkersburg, Gravelburg, Colorado, Ellensburg, Rexburg, Vicksburg, El Dorado, Larimore, Atmore, Haverstraw, Chattanooga, Chaska, Nebraska, Alaska, Opelika, Baraboo, Waterloo, Kalamazoo, Kansas City, Sioux City, Cedar City, Dodge City, what a pity. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. across the deserts bare, man. I breathe that mountain air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere. Thank y'all so much. Keep it going for this amazing band we got. Denise Minter on the keys. Dr. Dan Stotes on the bass. Emerson Laffey on the drums. John Knowlton on the guitar. Thank you so much.